CBS Sports as David Richard joins us. At their peak, who was more popular, Limp Bizkit or Smash Mouth?
Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So
for sure.
Yeah.
I think so.
They did it all for the money. Yeah, the money.
And a hell of a cover of Behind Blue Eyes by The Who, by the way, except for I always say the speak and spell in the middle. That kind of ruined it. But a good video with Halle Berry. You remember that, Dave?
I do.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Okay. Welcome in. How was your week?
I do.
Well, I'm just asking.
My week was good. And Halloween is coming up on Tuesday. So I got to ask you, what's the scarier Halloween gimmick? Carmichael, Dave? Or Carmichael Grave?
Wow. Look, the
streak continues.
At this point, a couple more of these, we're going to need to get a sponsor for those. The Dave Richard quip of the week brought to you by, because he either hits us with a pun or he hits us with some sort of local thing.
Local ties.
Okay, fine. You know what? I've got a question for you that we've been asking. I love to talk about food if you look at me. So let me ask you this, David. Which would you rather eat? A baby lamb or a matter baby?
Oh, what baby?
A matter baby. A baby lamb or a matter baby?
What's a matter baby?
I don't know. What's the matter with you, baby?
He's so proud.
You
of
wouldn't believe it. We just got done on our podcast. One of the things that we talked about were dad jokes and making jokes like that. So that's a good one. I'm going to steal that one.
You should.
To our show next.
It really, you get it. I've never won a World Series before. I've never been a pitcher or a catcher that, after the final pitch when they jump up in the air, but after going around the office and everywhere and every time I get someone, I run out of the room screaming like that meme where all the kids are yelling.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a wonderful feeling, much like winning a fantasy football match.
Yeah. I was about to say, you probably haven't won a fantasy league in a long while.
Wow.
So true, though.
So true, though. Although I got a bit of a juggernaut this year, so cross fingers, but they always choke in the playoffs. In this case, Dalvin Cook, though, would be my first question. He's Florida State's Dalvin Cook, I should say, is not happy in New York with the Jets. That marriage ain't working out too well. My question isn't about Dalvin Cook, though. My question is about Breece Hall. Is he rising up, dropping, staying the same? Where is he at these days in your running back rankings?
I was about to say, if your first question is about Dalvin Cook, you're really not hiding the fact that this whole segment is about helping your fantasy team and not helping the fantasy team of everybody in Sacramento. And that question is still kind of so-so about whether or not we're helping Dave or helping Sactown. Look, he's a must-start fantasy running back. Already has 2 games and with at least 20 fantasy points. I think it's his last 2 games, actually. He might have 3 games this year. Geez Louise, my math is off.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Breece Hall as a must-start. I'm not thinking twice about it. And I think he changes the tenor of the Jets' offense. Obviously, they don't want to throw the ball all over the place with Zach Wilson. He's still not great as a quarterback. And so handing off to Breece Hall, even behind a suspect offensive line, it tends to work out. And they also use him in the passing game. He's everything you want in a stud fantasy running back. I view him as a top 5 guy rest of season.
Dave, how about the game here we'll have on Sunday, the 49ers and the Bengals, 2 teams that
I can't hear Jason, Dave.
Can't hear Jason. We had this problem.
I couldn't hear him at all.
We had this problem before, didn't we?
How about now, Dave?
Can you hear him at all?
Still no. I hear him on Dave's mic.
You hear him? All right, here, take mine.
I think you guys should share a microphone.
Yeah, well, how about this?
There you go.
There we go.
How about I can hear you?
Yeah,
how about the guy I really want to hear?
Thank you. How about the Niners and Bengals game this week? What kind of fantasy plays do you have there with probably several players that a lot of people have on their roster? Who do you like playing this week in that matchup?
Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle, you know what to do with them. I am nervous about Brandon Ayuk, who's underwhelmed for fantasy each of his last 3 games, and he hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1. And you just think about the situation over those past 3 games for Ayuk. Tough matchup, dangerous defense that the 49ers are going up against. Specifically last week, no Trent Williams on the offensive line. I don't think Trent's going to be there again this week. And now we're throwing in a downgraded quarterback from Brock Purdy to Sam Darnold. The 2 things that you loved about Purdy were his accuracy and his coolness in the pocket. And those are two things that I don't think we can count on with Sam Darnold. And so I'm very nervous trusting Brandon Ayuk this week. I would try and get him out of fantasy lands. And then on the other side, we've seen the Bengals kind of turn up the heat at midseason each of the last 2 years. I think Burrow is probably going to be at his healthiest point, considering that they're coming off of a bye. Same thing for T. Higgins. I would expect this Bengals offense and their defense to look the best that they have all season. This is going to be a tough game for the 49ers to deal with. And even if Brock Purdy plays, I think I would say that about the matchup itself. Obviously, I would like Ayuk more if Brock Purdy were to actually play in the game. But Burrow, I consider him a must-start. Jamar Chase a must-start. T. Higgins, good enough to be a number 2 fantasy wide receiver. And then Joe Mixon, you're starting him just because he gets 15 touches a game. Even though he doesn't score that much, you're hoping for around 12 PPR points.
Just for fun, before I ask my question, Jason, give me a test on your mic.
Yeah, you got me now?
Yeah. Did you?
I don't. Yes, I got you. I'm not even going to joke around.
Yeah.
Well, because actually, a follow up on that. Are you assuming that Purdy is out for this week? Is that how you would play it?
It is very rare to see a player suffer a concussion on Sunday and then play in the next game. Now, this is just speaking generally about concussions. I understand that every single one of them is unique, but he wasn't actually put into the concussion protocol until after the game. It's especially rare to see a player get put in after a game and make it the game on the following week, the following Sunday, less than 7 days. So hopefully he's fine. Hopefully he passes the concussion protocol and he's good to go. But it's rare when you see it. It's just something that you have to keep an eye on.
As we talked to Dave Richard of CBS Sports, I don't know if it's been the most controversial thing in fantasy football this year, but it certainly has to be close because of Arthur Dumbface over in Atlanta with what they did. What do we do with Bijan Robinson? I know the headache was last week. Don't expect a repeat of that, but you still have Algier. What are you telling fantasy owners to do with Bijan?
It's almost like a spell was cast on the fantasy community when Bijan had the situation that he had last week, and it made everybody kind of realize, hey, wait a minute, this first-round pick isn't performing like a first-round pick, and this coach is using too many players in his offense, and now everybody's kind of like hating on Bijan Robinson, and I wonder if that's creating a buy low opportunity on Bijan Robinson because he is a very talented running back. And this is an offense that should be using him more than they are. But even so, he's gotten some great games this year while splitting work with Tyler Algier and Cordero Patterson. So I'm not running away from starting Bijan at all. Do I still view him as a top 10 type of fantasy running back? I don't know if I'm putting him in that boat again so fast. But I think as long as these headaches, and hopefully it's not a real serious issue and that this is the last time we ever hear of headaches associated with Bijan Robinson for the rest of his career. But hopefully he ends up being worked into the offense more. And this is going to be unpopular, Dave and Jay, but I get it. I understand why Arthur Smith does what he does. He wants to be unpredictable. And he built this whole offense with the idea of having so many unique playmakers that he wants to use them all from week to week, but not necessarily be consistent with it from week to week. I don't know if I necessarily made it clear. Like when you've got Tyreek Hill, okay, you're using him from week to week. And in theory, Kyle Pitts should be like an elite playmaker, Bijan an elite playmaker. He should want to use those guys from week to week, but he doesn't want to overwork it and make it obvious from week to week. That's the sense that I get from Arthur Smith, is that he's just trying to be unpredictable. And it stinks for fantasy, and I'm banging my fists against my desk while talking about it, but I understand where he's coming from.
I know we won't know who's traded by trade deadline now in this question, but who do you think could benefit the most fantasy-wise if they get dealt come trade deadline time?
I wonder if the Broncos lose another game and they're playing Kansas City, so surprise, they're probably going to lose. I wonder if they make a move with Jerry Jeudy and or Cortland Sutton. And I think it would help both of those wide receivers, but it should kick down the door for Marvin Mims to be a regular part of the Broncos offense moving forward. And I don't know if that's necessarily a great thing, but we are looking for him to actually continue to put up opportunities and to be maybe a reliable number 3 type of fantasy wide receiver. That's the only team. The Titans are another one. Let's talk about them. Maybe they do move on from Derrick Henry. I know it's tough because of the salary cap situation. Same thing with DeAndre Hopkins. Maybe he's more apt to get traded. That would open up the door if Henry were to go. Tyjae Spears could end up being an RB2 the rest of the way. He's actually been a lot more efficient than Derrick Henry over the course of the season. Certainly a zippier version at running back than Derrick Henry, and someone that is already rostered in a bunch of leagues. But if you've got him, hang on to him, because if Henry does move on, yes, you are looking at a running back who could start for you.
Well, and just a quick follow-up on that, it seems the rumors are Baltimore is in on Henry and the Cowboys are a dark horse. If you're a Henry owner, do you have a preference? And what I mean by that, I don't want to sound too stupid. I get that Baltimore would jump out at you, but then you have Pollard and you have a backfield in Dallas as well. So do you have a pick between those two?
You'd rather it be Baltimore. I'm not sure if that makes sense for them, though, because they are trying to make their offense as fast as possible. It's the whole reason why Justice Hill has gotten the playing time that he has, because I don't think Justice Hill is a particularly great running back. He's just faster than Gus Edwards, and they've already got Gus Edwards. So why would they go and acquire Derrick Henry? They're going to turn their run game into a ground and pound. I don't think that fits into what they want to do offensively anymore.
Well, where can everybody hear you opine on that and so much more later this morning?
We have already done our Friday podcast. You can download it and take it with you everywhere you go, or you can watch us on YouTube. Just go to the old YouTube and search for CBS Fantasy Football Today. You will catch every single episode. We do 2 start-sit episodes every single week, plus recaps on Sunday night when the games are over.
Always the best advice, friend. Thank you so much. I expect an update next week on how many What's the Matter babies you pulled off.
I got to tell you, I was never really a big fan of Phil Collins, but take a look at me now.
Yeah, right. Look at that. Dave
Starts
Richard.
and closes.
Starts and closes. CBS Sports. Thank you, friend. Have a great weekend.
So I stole it from somebody on our podcast.
See you later. Nice. Bye. It's Dave Richard.